And you have a standard here, a new way of doing DNA evidence. But there was a time when I started, believe it or not, that DNA was new. All of DNA was new. So since the 90s, the courts have said DNA is admissible because it's generally accepted science. It's reliable. Whether the jury accepts it or not, it's a different question. But we're going to allow it to be admitted. Here's a new form of analysis now that's close to 100% accurate. And so from a legal point of view, from a prosecutorial point of view, I always have to worry about, will this get reversed on appeal? But I'm not here because the judge made a very competent ruling after listening to experts that this, in fact, is more reliable than other DNA evidence in the past. And that is the only thing that counts. So this is a big win for prosecutors. And this ruling will not be disturbed, in my humble opinion, on appeal. And certainly it's going to be very powerful evidence against the defendant in terms of guilt. I've been dealing with murder cases an entire career and have seen some pretty ugly cases that I've personally prosecuted. Just listening to this, though, with all that experience, just gives you the chills. The methodical nature of this, like you can kind of get your arms around cases where it's heat of the passion or, you know, something happens, you get angry. But this is a systematic, planned out way to kill somebody. And even I, an experienced homicide prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, cringe when I listen to this. It got me really, really uncomfortable. Okay, let's go to the evidence. This piece of evidence was key. It unlocked a door. And what it unlocked was the opportunity for prosecutors to argue that all of the murders should be tried in one case, because typically speaking, that would be considered unduly prejudicial in many instances under an evidence rule that we normally refer to as evidence rule 404, other act evidence. But prosecutors were able to say there's an exception to that rule. And the exception is planning, modus operandi, the way that they're doing things in a continuing plan or pattern of activity. And that planner is keying in for prosecutors the ability to say this wasn't a one and done. It was multiple individuals. He was training, learning, and doing things consistently from one death to the other. And that's why the court then said the probative value of all of them together is greater than the prejudicial effect by having them all tried at one time. So this was not a willy-nilly ruling. This is one that's very complex, very nuanced. Prosecutors were very, very careful, because if you go over the line and down the road, if you get a conviction and it gets reversed on appeal, who wants that? But I think the judge made the right ruling, because that diary opened up the door to say that this wasn't a one and done, that this was a systematic attempt to kill multiple people.